Hello, James here. I'm going to play this video about this
Now
athlete.
streaming free on Salesforce Plus, it's
Take a
connections.
couple short videos, and I'll give my commentary about this athlete. You know, the blind side. There's a couple commentators, and it's the biggest news right now. But
Virtual conference for marketers, commerce pros, and anybody interested in customer first innovate.
I'll let them.
Ladies and gentlemen, you might have heard about this lawsuit that Michael Oher is suing these folks that he thought adopted him. So apparently they had to lie to him in order for him to believe that he was adopted. If you are familiar with this, then you know about the movie The Blind Side. They never adopted him. They did conservatorship. And they literally stole all of the money made from the movie. I was looking at some articles online and they said it was $300 million they took. And the movie was about Michael. It was about him. And they didn't give him one dime. But they're now acting like they're all deeply hurt and sad about this lawsuit. No, they're not. And first of all, in order for them to do what they did, they never cared about him in the first place. They saw a big cash cow. That's why they clung to him. And in order for him to be adopted, he had to be underage when they lied and said they adopted him. Right? So he was not of age. You don't adopt a grown man. So they never really truly cared. And brother, if you happen to win this lawsuit, you need to permanently cut these colonizers off. Don't let them back into your life for any reason. Keep them away. So let's get into this story. The Blind Side family responds to Michael Oher bombshell lawsuit against them. Good for him. He's more entitled to that money than they ever will be. That entire movie was about his life. So the family featured in the Hollywood blockbuster The Blind Side fired back Monday at the ex-NFL Michael Oher claims they swindled him, calling the allegations insulting and hurtful. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care what they call it. Okay, from what I'm reading, they stole this money and they raked it in. And they knew what they were doing. They knew it was wrong, but they did it anyway. Like a typical colonizer. So, Oher, 37, filed a lawsuit at Shelby County, Tennessee court Monday, saying he only recently learned that he wasn't officially adopted by Sean and Leanne Towie. So, ladies and gentlemen, they duped him. What they did was they had him sign a conservatorship document allowing them to steal all of his money and royalty fees. And that's what they did from the movie. $300 million they got in their pocket. And lied to him, making him believe he was adopted. Scoundrels, boy, for real. So, they're saying that they are devastated. No, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not. If they are devastated, y'all, they're devastated at the possibility of getting all their wealth taken away. Wealth they should never have had in the first place. That wealth belongs to him. So now Sean, the husband, claims that the conservatorship was drawn up to ensure that the Oher was eligible to play football at the University of Mississippi. Mhm. So $300 million was to ensure that he could play football. If this man don't get the hell up on out of here. So he bolstered at the high school, and if Oher wasn't part of the family, there could have been a potential NCAA issue sending him there. Again, that doesn't justify taking $300 million and not giving him one dime of it. And that movie was about him. So I sat Michael down and told him, if you're planning to go to Ole Miss or even consider Ole Miss, we think you have to be part of the family. This would do that legally. We contacted lawyers who had told us that we couldn't adopt over, he was over the age of 18. They could only do a conservatorship. So that's what they did. But here's the problem. They didn't explain that to him. He thought, to this very day, he thought he was adopted. So obviously, they did not explain that to him. So, Sean is dismissing the idea that the family profited handsomely from the movie, but they did. They did. They did. They saw him and saw dollar signs.
Yeah.
We didn't make any money off the movie, Howie said. Well, Michael Lewis, the author on the book, said he gave us half of his share. Everybody in the family got an equal share, including Michael. It was about $14,000 each. Why would everybody in the family get a share? And that motion picture was squarely about him. They did that everybody crap. Oh, well, everybody. Everybody. Now, do you see why we need to get away for real? So, Howie sold his conglomerate of fast food franchises for $200 million and took affront the idea that he would want to profit off of Oher. I will say it's upsetting that people would think that I want to make money off of any of my children, he said. But you did. But you did. Stop trying to act like this is shocking and you already did it. You already made a profit off of him. What is the point in signing a conservatorship and you're not going to make a dime? You saw the money there. Him as an 18-year-old, he might not have been thinking like that at the time, not at 18, but these adults, they sure knew what it was. So he said the family had remained close with Oher throughout much of his NFL career, but noticed distance building about a year and a half ago. No question, the allegations are insulting. Tui said of the lawsuit, but look, it's crazy. It's a crazy world. You've got to live in it. It's obviously upsetting everybody. So he did an interview, Sean Tui did an interview, and he told his side of the story in an interview with Barstool Radio Monday. I really don't care about the family side of it. I mean, his family. I mean, how come we're not hearing more about Michael's side? I don't care about their side. They already got the money. Okay. So, Tui Jr. disputed the idea that Oher just learned about the conservatorship in February of 2023. Well, he could have. if he says he found out in February, I find that hard to believe. Well, I went through my family group texts today to see what have been said. There were things in 2020 or 2021 that said, if you guys give me this much, then I won't go public with things. So, even if he said that, so? And it just goes into Britney Spears, which I absolutely don't care about at all. So, he said he did notice how Oher was frustrated over not getting paid out more for The Blind Side, but added that he didn't make much money from the movie, either estimating his personal, he received 60 to 70,000 in royalties over the years. That is way too low. That is way too low. Look, that movie was a blockbuster, y'all. It was a blockbuster. A lot of people saw that movie. Not to mention, a lot of people have seen it on cable. So he should have gotten way more than 60 to 70,000 over the years. That's really nothing in comparison to what this family got. Wow. So he said he has great memories of Oher, including the former football star buying him his first car, a Dodge Charger, and going to college in Baltimore to be close to Oher, who was playing for the Ravens at the time. Oher's suit claimed that he had no family status with the Tuohys in the conservationship. The lie of Michael's adoption is once, I think that's what's getting him the most, the lie about the adoption. And to be honest with you, y'all, I really do believe they did lie to him and say he was adopted. I really do. I believe they did lie. So, Michael Oher discovered this lie, and it says he said he discovered the lie in February of 2023 when he learned that the conservatorship, to which he consented on the basis that doing so would make him a member of the family. In fact, provide him with no family relationship with them at all. All right, well, if he didn't have no family ties, then what they're in fear of is they're going to have to give all that money to him. You know, you had him do conservatorship and you were not his adopted parents. He was not an official member of your family, but you took all of that money. He got a hell of a lawsuit. And I think they're afraid he's going to win. That's why they're all out here in public trying to put this story out here about their hurt and disappointment. Yeah, when they were raking in all that money, they weren't hurt and disappointed. They were gleeful with all that money. Y'all, please tell me what you think about this video. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell.
You found a new hobby, so your personal info has found itself on some new sites. And whether or not you stick
for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel, and we are commanded to love one another. I read a very interesting story a few minutes ago, and it surprised me, but then it didn't surprise me. And it's about this retired football player, Michael Oher, who was the subject of the movie a few years back called The Blind Side. He has now filed a suit against that family that claimed that they had adopted him. The story appears in the Los Angeles Times, and it says, Michael Oher, NFL star who inspired The Blind Side, alleges Tui family never adopted him. Now, well, let's just get into the story. NFL veteran Michael Oher, whose life story was captured in a book that later was adapted into the 2009 Oscar-winning drama, The Blind Side, has filed a petition in a Tennessee court alleging that his self-proclaimed adoptive parents never actually adopted him. Well, how about that? Instead, the 37-year-old alleged the couple duped him into signing a legal document in 2004 that made them his conservators, according to a copy of the court filing obtained by the Times. The legal arrangement gave Sean and Leanne Tui total control over Michael Oher's ability to negotiate for or enter any contract, despite the fact that he was over 18 years old and had no diagnosed physical or psychological disabilities. Now, these are the adoptive parents that he's talking about. And he says that they duped him into signing a legal document that made them his conservators, which gave them total control over his ability to negotiate for or enter any contract. Now, is anybody surprised? Is anybody surprised? The former Baltimore Ravens and Carolina Panthers tackle filed a 14-page petition in Shelby County, Tennessee probate court on Monday, alleging that the Tuis tricked him into signing the document, which he believed was a necessary step in his adoption process when the couple took him in as a teenager. The arrangement gave the Tuis legal authority to make business deals in the athlete's name, including those involved in the movie that earned Sandra Bullock an Oscar. So he signed the document thinking that this was a step that he was taking in becoming a part of that family, that they were adopting him. But it was just a document that gave them legal and financial control over him, preying on the emotions of a homeless teenager. So this was a dirty trick on these people's part, making him think that they were adopting him when in fact they were just trying to get financial control over him because he was a football player and they saw potential in him. So they jumped on the potential. These people don't ever get tired of playing slavery time tricks. Describing Oher as a gullible young man whose athletic talent could be exploited for their own benefit, the athlete's attorney argued that the Tuis used their power as conservators to strike a deal that paid them and their two birth children millions of dollars in royalties from the film, which earned $309 million worldwide. Wow. The 2009 film was based on Michael Lewis's 2006 book, The Blind Side, The Evolution of the Game. The film was adapted and directed by John Lee Hancock and starred Quentin Aaron as Oher. It was billed as the remarkable true story of the football star, featuring Sandra Bullock as the Spitfire mom who literally plucked the homeless Memphis teen off the road on an icy winter night. The family is credited with helping Oher become an All-American player at Ole Miss and a 2009 first-round draft pick for the Baltimore Ravens. So they're taking credit for everything, even his gift as an A1 athlete. However, Oher said in his filing that he gave the rights to his life story away to 20th Century Fox in 2007 without any payment whatsoever, and that he didn't discover the nature of the 2004 conservatorship petition until February of this year. So again, taking advantage of a young person. The lie of Michael's adoption is one upon which co-conservators Leanne Toohey and Sean Toohey have enriched themselves at the expense of their ward, the undersigned Michael Oher, the filing said. Michael Oher discovered this lie to his chagrin and embarrassment in February of 2023 when he learned that the conservatorship to which he consented on the basis that doing so would make him a member of the Toohey family, in fact, providing him no familial relationship with the Tooheys. Isn't that sad? This is really sad because this young man's family was sort of dysfunctional. No, it was dysfunctional at the time. And he was going from place to place, staying with people who saw his athletic ability and were letting him stay with them. And then he was homeless. So this young man was being tossed from pillar to post as a teenager. And these people took him in and pretended to care about him. But they were just grooming him for the football potential that they saw in him. Now, they were right about that. His football potential did come to fruition, but they used him. They had no intention of making this young black man a member of their family, but they fooled him and they used him, and they ought to have to pay for that.
I need it cooler at night.
Are you trying to ice me out of the bed?
Maybe only on game nights.
And they used him, and they ought to have to pay for that. According to ESPN, the Tooheys have denied making much money from the movie, saying they received a flat fee for the story and did not reap any of the movie's profits. And what they did earn, they added, was shared with Oher. The Tooheys have said they divided it 5 ways according to their 2010 book, In a Heartbeat, Sharing the Power of Cheerful Giving. Oher has been public for years about his distaste for the film, and that is true. He has been complaining and pouting about that film for a long time because he said that it did not portray him or his family correctly, and I believe that. The article continues, Oher was one of 12 children born to his biological mother and was almost 11 years old when he became a ward of Tennessee's Department of Human Services, his petition said. He alleged that the Tooheys took no legal action in juvenile court to assume his legal custody, but told him that they loved him, intended to legally adopt him, and encouraged him to call them mom and dad. They have also falsely and publicly represented themselves as Oher's adoptive parents to benefit their own interests, the petition said. There are just no words for people who would do something like this to a young child who was emotionally needy and wanted to be a part of a family, and they did this to him in order to use him for financial gain. The athlete is asking the court to end the Tooheys' conservatorship and issue an injunction barring them from using his name, image, and likeness, as well as continuing false claims that they adopted him at any time. He's also seeking a full accounting of the money they earned while using his name and calling themselves his adoptive parents. Oher is seeking his fair share of profits in addition to unspecified compensatory and punitive damages and attorney's fees. Well, good for him. Representatives for Leanne Toohey and the Tooheys Making It Happen Foundation were not immediately available to comment Monday. I am disheartened by the revelation shared in the lawsuit today, Oher said in a statement, which he released to a local TV news station in Tennessee. This is a difficult situation for my family and me. For now, I will let the lawsuit speak for itself and will offer no further comment. This is a very unusual situation, and this is no even for sleazy people. Any other time we might say, well, it's his fault. He should have known better than to get involved with these people. But he didn't know better. He was a child, 16, 17 years old, in need of parenting, of nurturing, and of a family and a home to go to at night, as opposed to going from pillar to post and being homeless. So he didn't know better. And we can understand why he fell for this family's antics. He was a vulnerable child who needed a home. They were offering him something that he wanted. But to be honest, black women never liked that movie. Personally, I did not trust that woman. It was always something about her. She was out there too much. She was doing too much, and I can't even put my finger on it right now. But she was just making it seem like it was all about her. It was even when it was popular, when it was out, black women were complaining about that movie because they were making it seem like this young man had no family, nobody cared anything about him, and these people just found him in the swamp somewhere and took him in and took care of him and gave him all of this love and attention that he wasn't getting from his family or from his community. So it was a problematic movie from the beginning. And then this woman, Leanne Tui, came out, and she had some real smart-ass comments to make when she was on a TV show being interviewed. And the interviewer, and I don't remember who it was, but it was a white interviewer, said that black women didn't like that movie. And then she went on to say, why she didn't care because she was the best thing since sliced bread and all of that. But it is very disheartening for anybody to learn that people can be so devious and dishonest, to make a child think, make this young man think that they were adopting him or that they had adopted him. And he didn't even realize that they had control over him until this year in February. And it's not clear how he found out this year, but they still had the rights to him. So we don't even know how they're using his image and how much money they're making from it. You can make a lot of money by controlling a celebrity's image. Mm-hmm. It's astounding. But it shouldn't be surprising, though, because Michael Oher was a professional football player, and he was pretty high profile. He was a good player. And those Tuies showed up for every game. Their pictures are all over the internet with him at football games. I mean, he couldn't sneeze without them being around. And now we know why. They were protecting their interests. And the woman said they divided the money that was made 5 ways. So that means she and her husband and her 2 children got equal shares of what should have been his. So this woman is at least the equal to Kim Kardashian's mother. I'll say it again, they don't ever stop thinking about hustling black people and making money off black people. And they were running around saying that they had adopted him. So he really thought he was a part of that family. And this is another tricky thing. They had control over his image and his financial situation to a certain extent. But they didn't adopt him because if they had adopted him, that would have given him access to their money. So I'm sure that's why they didn't adopt him, along with other reasons why they may not have adopted him. But they didn't want him to have access to what they had, but they wanted to have access to his earning power. It is really, I mean, people will do anything for money. And this was all about greed. And he did the right thing to drag their asses into court. And I certainly hope that whatever he's trying to get from it, he will. And I believe he will, because almost nobody would see what they did and call it right. Because there's nothing right about that. There's nothing right about using and misusing a child. A teenager is still a child. As a side note, Michael Oher is married and has a family. This is his family. He says that he and his wife met as freshmen at the University of Mississippi, and they've been together ever since. So there's that happy ending. But let me know what you think about the video.
He is a Super Bowl champion, a first-round NFL draft pick. Michael joins us here in studio. Mike, how you doing, man?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
My pleasure. First, football question. You played under Hugh Freeze.
Yep.
And now Hugh is back in the SEC. You played for him under Ole Miss, at Ole Miss. Now he's back at Auburn.
Yep.
Hugh has had some ups and downs in his career as well, but in this book you talk about how much you appreciate him, that you're still friends to this day. So tell me about your relationship with Hugh and how you think he'll do at Auburn.
I think personally he'll do fantastic. We date all the way back to high school, and he was my high school football coach. And he was one of the first mentors I saw do it the right way. Football-wise, off the field, fundamentals, technique. I learned from him that the coach is way more important than the player, because I saw a bunch of guys who didn't quite have the talent beat a lot of guys who had tons of talent. And that's where, fundamentals and technique became a big emphasis in, how I approach the game of football. But at Auburn, he FaceTimes me all the time when he has a big-time recruit in, and lets me talk to the big-time recruits. But I think he's a genius offensively, and I think he'll do fantastic right away.
You played with some of the greats, and you were on that Super Bowl team that ended Ray Lewis's storied and famed career. You won the Super Bowl with the Ravens in 2012. What was the fire from Ray like? We saw what it was on screen. What was it like behind the scenes?
I still get chills watching his videos today. Behind the scenes, you come in. I came in, I think he was in year 12 or something, so he was fairly into his career. So, we looked up to Ray Lewis, Avery, guys like that, like they were Marvel characters. So to have him be able to go out on the field pre-game and just get us pumped up, man. He could have just look at us, we'd get fired up, man. So, no, it was tremendous. My locker was right next to him. We used to hang out and, be around guys like that. If he hadn't said he was going to retire a few weeks before the playoffs started, I don't think we would have won the Super Bowl.
Really?
Because for me, everybody locked in. You think guys like that are going to play forever. When he talked to the team, I told him, man, I thought you was going to retire with me. So we couldn't believe it. I think everybody developed a sense of purpose, a sense of urgency, and, headed toward one goal. And for him to retire on top, it meant a lot.
One theme from this book and some of the other interviews you've done is that what you see is not always the truth, and that there's a lot of narratives out there that may not be even attached to truth. And you mentioned Cam Newton in this. You were a teammate of his in Carolina. You guys went to the 2015 Super Bowl, lost to the Denver Broncos, but you said your interactions with him very different than how the public perceived him. They thought he was a different guy. What was the guy that you knew?
Well, I think we relate because I feel that I'm misunderstood. I feel Cam he's misunderstood. You have to get to know someone personally, and you can't just go off a picture or a video or a small clip. Cam is one of the most genuine, fun-loving guys I've ever been around. Geez, we spent a ton of time together, week in and week out, off days, and when your character is everything. That's what you work for. And when someone doesn't appreciate who you are as a person, I think that carries more weight than anything. But me personally, you have to get to know people. But Cam he's still a fantastic guy. I talk to him every now and then, and you definitely have to get to know people.
Michael Oher joins us here in studio, author of the new book, When Your Back's Against the Wall. He wrote, I Beat the Odds, and you just said you feel like you've been mislabeled sometimes, misunderstood. And I think, at least from what I've read in the book, a lot of that stems from how you were portrayed in the movie The Blind Side, and that people might have the wrong idea of your personality, number one, that you were this kind of shy wallflower, that you were timid and you had to be kind of like drawn out of your shell, when in reality you were a workaholic, you were hyper organized, and you were like, damn it, I'm making something of myself no matter what it takes after a rough background. Is that the big one that you feel you were mislabeled as?
I think it took away the hard work and the dedication that I created from a child, and going to school in the 3rd grade, getting myself up, first one in the locker room, last one out, and I think the biggest for me is, being portrayed, not being able to read or write. 2nd grade, I was doing plays in front of the school, and I think that's one of the, when you go into a locker room and your teammates don't think that you can learn a playbook, that weighs heavy on someone, and you have to understand. I understand that the movie has given me a position. I'm honored to have the position it's given me, but you have to understand, before I moved in with the family, I was an All-American. That's what I want the generations behind me to see in this book right here, to understand that you don't have to have someone save you and rescue you to go out and be successful. You got every tool in you. And this book right here is a playbook on life. Looking yourself in the mirror when I was 11, 12-year-old kid, telling myself, hey, everyone around you is in an even worse situation that you're in. So you're going to have to get up and do this thing yourself, and developing a routine right then, when I could have given up at 11, 12-year-old, as an 11 to 12-year-old kid. So that's what I'm trying to paint the message in this book right here. And looking through everything that I went through and finding the positive in it.
And it wasn't that you don't have gratitude to the family that took you in. That's really
very grateful. Very grateful for every family that helped me throughout this journey. It's a lot of people that deserve a lot of credit. For me, I want to show the young people and everyone behind me that, hey, you deserve some credit for your hard work. You can get it done, and that's really the goal.
So for those that don't know, you grew up in a really difficult situation. No one in your family had aspired to really have a career. Many didn't want a job. The people that you were around didn't have anything to do most days. Poverty, homelessness, the projects in Memphis. You were just surrounded by a culture of there's really nothing to life. There's no way out. But you somehow figured out that you needed to see something else. I think you described it as like standing in front of an ocean when you walked to the edge of the projects, that there was a whole something out there that you had no idea about. How'd you gain a perspective in a cycle that usually doesn't allow that?
I think I was blessed with being on the streets from the time I was 3 years old, in and out of foster care from 3 to 10, on the streets for a year.
You were blessed.
Yes, on the streets for a year, after running away from foster home at 10 years old, and being placed in a mental hospital, and running away from there a few weeks later. And the state just gave up on me, gave back custody. And the struggles that I had early on, being in and out of homes, on the streets, I needed a routine. That's when I developed a routine, 11, 12 years old, going to school on my own in the 3rd grade. And from there on...
and your family, not to interject, but a lot of crack addiction amongst your family and your parents. You didn't know your dad.
That was the norm. That was the norm at the time. That's the way we grew up. But you grew up so fast, like I said, you understand what's right and what's wrong. So from that point on, when I started going to school on my own, I was going to do the right thing because I knew what the wrong thing was, and I didn't want to be there. And I saw what it did to my family, and I saw the situation that we was in. So, I was going to put it in my mind and imagine a future and go chase that. That was better than what I was around. So I think that was the most important thing, was having those struggles early on and being so tired as an 11-year-old kid and forcing myself to just go to school every day and just be away from that environment and picture myself somewhere else. So I think routine, discipline, and being consistent is the key to everything. Without a routine, man, everyone I know who doesn't have a routine, their life's in shambles. So that's everything to me. I think the struggles, it blessed me and it helped me get off the streets a lot earlier than some others would.
Michael Oher joins us in studio. You had such an interesting observation here in the book, and that was that you can read in people's eyes, especially young people that have been through foster care, what internally they're thinking or their reaction to you. And you said you developed that when you were young because you read body language because it means survival when you're young and on the street.
For sure.
How'd that happen?
Well, it's just that, knowing body language, knowing that you're on couch to couch and someone else, you're in that situation, the next person can't feed themselves, so some extra mouth can't be around, can't stay too long. So the first couple of days, it's just like when you see somebody, your new friend, you're happy to see him. Hey, what's going on, man? Blah blah blah. And then after a day or so, it becomes, hey, what's up? So that's my cue. It's time to go because I've worn out my welcome. So I know body language. I can try to continue to be positive. Whenever I see you, I try to be the same personality-wise, same energy, and it gets mentally. I wouldn't wish it on anybody because you continue. You have to, you have to be at war. You have to be on cue at all times because you don't know, when someone's going to tell you your time's up.
You talk about food insecurity in this book as well, not knowing if you're going to open up the fridge and anything's going to be in there. How devastating is that to young people that deal with this because they can't afford to go out and buy their own food? And you talk about you walk through grocery stores and convenience stores and wondered, is today the day I starve or is today the day I steal food?
No, I was never going to starve. I was always too competitive. I'm going in the store. I'm going to get what I need. I'm getting out of there. So that's not going to happen. Trust me on that one. But it leads to bigger things as you grow older. Those are just petty crimes. Me stealing as a kid, surviving and putting food in the refrigerator. That's just something I had to do. But what it leads to poor academics in the classroom, behavior problems, and then a few years later, those crimes become armed robberies and a lot more dangerous crimes. So, that's what hunger does. It's a bigger problem than just trying to survive as a kid.
What food does a 10-year-old kid swipe to make it through the day?
Hey, I was a nice-sized kid, so, man, I didn't go swipe chips and candy bars, man. I went and stole chicken and pizzas. I got the big stuff, man. I'm not going to get a candy bar at the store, man. Let's be real here. I'm trying to eat for a couple of days. But hey, that's what it was all about, surviving though. So anything that I could get, I was trying to get it.
I'm thinking about Michael Oher, like supermarket sweep, pushing a bunch of candied hams through the exit door. Hey, see you guys tomorrow.
I put a ham in a coat.
You did?
I will. Thanksgiving coming up, man. We got to eat. Come on, man. We starving out here.
Thank you so much for watching.
He sounds like he's a very intelligent man. I mean, he's very intelligent for what, they describe it in the movie. Like,
low credit.
This looks. He's just bubbling. Needed guidance, kind of made him really, really meek and slow and everything. But he's a very intelligent man just by talking with him and everything. But it's just that, it's just good to hear from Mike himself and give you the full understanding what his mindset was about, what he went through at that time. But it's somehow they took advantage of him when he was a kid like that. But you got some people, they'll take advantage when they see an opportunity. And I think the dad was seeing dollar signs, or the mom, they were seeing dollar signs definitely, and they from what it sounded like, they didn't really love him and love him. They was just they probably explained to their friends, baby, this is our cash cow. They probably, what the heck this big old black dude doing, going around him all the time? Because you see in the movie and everything. So, but they probably explained to him, they probably told him some kind of fib, but anybody could see that was coming. But anyway, I wish him luck with his lawsuit and everything, and get what he got, so he could be able to leave something generational to his children and wife, and things will work out for the best. But yeah, that's kind of dirty what they did, man. But yeah, you just, and like the lady, the two ladies were saying, it's sad that you would take advantage of a child, a 16, 17-year-old child, and knowing that you're an illusion that you adopted him, that you're gonna love him and take care of him, and kind of find out he had other people along the way to help him, a few other people. But anyway, yeah, this was a really interesting story about Michael Oher. But the movie, yeah, and now what I was showing you earlier about the actors, they're kind of upset. Why does this lawsuit go through and it's not right and everything? Of course they is, they probably worry about the residuals on that movie and everything. And that's actually, I think that's why they said that. That's my personal opinion. But yeah, Sandra Bullock and that guy, and so because he played the Michael Oher, and so yeah, that's what that was all about. But yeah, I don't blame him, man. Someone lied to use my story, and kind of didn't tell me the paperwork that at that time, and I didn't understand. And that could happen to a 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old, because people don't know about stuff like that. A lot of people don't know, and I mean, you figure that a young man that's in poverty, that's in the inner city, they wouldn't know nothing about that, and they knew that stuff. So they did take advantage of it. They had some education and status, and they used it for their advantage. But they saw this, like they said, like Lisa and Lady Boulay said, they saw a cash cow. That's what it was. No way around it. They didn't care about that dude. And a low amount, so that's what they told you, but they made a whole lot more than 14 grand. They made a whole lot more than that. And like he said, to control his likeness and everything, and use his, and that's what they probably did. At the time he was in the NFL, they probably used his, like, they got some money off of it. Trust me. That's what they telling people. They was making a residual income, as they say online, and they made a hell of it on Michael. So, but anyway, I don't want to make this video too long. Hope you like and subscribe. Yeah, so the moral of the story is, at least we get to hear the man for who he is himself. Alright then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you on the next video. Until next time, be blessed and take care. Like and share.